Carries me.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and welcome Attorney General Bondi. Tens of thousands of public servants at the Department of Justice and its bureaus have historically worked very hard and continue to work hard to protect public safety and uphold the rule of law in our country. Yet, I must take this opportunity to express my very strong concerns about this current administration's lack of respect for the rule of law. Over the past 5 months, we have seen numerous examples of this administration outright breaking the law. The administration continues to illegally withhold billions of dollars in funding that Congress appropriated, including hundreds of recently terminated justice grants that had previously been awarded through open and competitive processes. The administration is violating the federal law that mandates that the Office of Management and Budget publish apportionments and show the public how and when federal agencies are spending appropriated funds. The Justice Department has begun illegally restoring the gun possession rights of convicted felons and domestic abusers. It's allowing the sale of forced reset trigger devices without a background check. These are devices that effectively convert regular firearms into machine guns, which I fear will only make mass shootings in the United States more numerous and deadly. More than 1,500 individuals involved in the January 6th attack on the Capitol were pardoned or granted commutations of sentences. The president's new appointee as pardon attorney, Ed Martin, previously raised money to help defend some of the most violent of these individuals, people who assaulted police officers. Some of the pardoned January 6 defendants have subsequently been arrested, charged, or sentenced for other crimes. Under this president, the U.S. has accepted a luxury jetliner from Qatar, very likely in violation of the emoluments clause of the Constitution. This president has also issued a series of illegal and unconstitutional executive orders, several of which are being challenged in courts right now. Presidential actions in recent months have also directed highly political and targeted investigations against law firms and individuals, including Miles Taylor, a former staffer for the House Appropriation Committee's Republican majority. Meanwhile, the administration has weakened law enforcement against political corruption by gutting the department's public integrity section, which fairly investigates and prosecutes corruption by government officials. It has dismantled Task Force Kleptocapture, which was started after Russia's 2022 invasion of Ukraine, to enforce sanctions and target oligarchs close to the Kremlin. It has also ended the FBI's Foreign Influence Task Force, which was created to defend against foreign influence operations targeting U.S. institutions. Furthermore, dozens of experienced career federal prosecutors, litigators, and FBI leaders have been fired or forced out since the start of this administration, including James Dennehy, the highly respected leader of the FBI's New York field office. I'm really concerned about what is happening in the Department of Justice, especially based on the department's fiscal year 2026 budget request. The proposed budget weakens the country's efforts to fight crime and keep Americans safe. The proposal reduces funding for the FBI, despite the heroism of agents like those in Minnesota who aided in the recent capture of the deranged man accused of killing a state representative and nearly killing another. It slashes funding to fight the trafficking of fentanyl and other dangerous illegal drugs by reducing the budget of the DEA, cutting the high-intensity drug trafficking areas program by more than a third, and by completely eliminating the dedicated funding for the Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Force's program. The administration also proposes a cut of more than 25% to the ATF, which will further weaken the government's ability to fight illegal gun trafficking. This budget proposal also puts further pressure on state and local budgets at a time of great economic uncertainty. The proposal cuts by more than $800 million funding to grants to local and state law enforcement for fighting and reducing crime, including a cut of more than $37 million to burn justice assistance formula grants that help our local law enforcement in every single state. I'm also concerned about the huge cuts to grants aimed at preventing and prosecuting violence against women, such as STOP grants and sexual assault services grants. The administration also proposes eliminating 3 valuable programs aimed at fighting and preventing hate crimes at the same time that the FBI is reporting that hate crimes are at historic highs. The administration's budget would completely eliminate the Community Relations Service, which was created by the Civil Rights Act of 1964 to prevent and resolve conflicts in American communities. These actions and this budget proposal simply don't demonstrate a commitment to the rule of law and equal rights for all Americans.
Representative Grace Meng didn't just give a routine statement to Attorney General Pam Bondi. She laid out an indictment of what happens when the Department of Justice stops being about justice and starts being about loyalty. Meng's remarks about staffing changes at DOJ and the FBI deserve more attention than they're getting. When experienced prosecutors and senior FBI leaders are pushed out, you don't just lose institutional memory. You lose independence. You create a culture where people learn very quickly that survival depends on not rocking the boat. And once that happens, accountability becomes optional. The budget piece ties all of this together, because budgets tell the truth in a way speeches never do. Cutting funding for the FBI while praising heroism in the field is contradiction, not support. Slashing DEA resources in the middle of a fentanyl crisis isn't fiscal responsibility, it's denial. Reducing ATF funding by more than a quarter while illegal gun trafficking continues to fuel violence across state lines is not about efficiency. It's about surrender. And when federal grants to state and local governments are cut by hundreds of millions of dollars, the burden doesn't disappear. It gets dumped onto communities already stretched thin. Police departments, addiction treatment programs, violence prevention initiatives, they don't magically become cheaper just because Washington walks away. Now here's the bigger picture, and this is the part that really matters. What Grace Meng is warning about isn't one bad policy or one controversial decision. It's a systemic shift. A DOJ that no longer acts as an independent guardian of the law, but as an instrument of political power. A justice system where loyalty matters more than legality, where punishment and forgiveness are applied based on ideology instead of conduct. That kind of system doesn't collapse overnight. It erodes slowly, quietly. One budget cut here, one task force eliminated there, one prosecutor replaced with someone more reliable. And by the time people realize what's been lost, rebuilding trust becomes exponentially harder. The rule of law isn't abstract. It's the reason people believe that courts matter, that elections matter, that rights matter. When that belief starts to crack, cynicism rushes in to fill the space. And cynicism is corrosive. It tells people that nothing is fair, nothing is real, and nothing is worth defending. That's why moments like this hearing matter. Not because a single speech will fix everything, but because calling this out on the record, in public, with specifics, is how accountability begins. Democracy doesn't protect itself. Institutions don't self-correct without pressure. And silence, especially from people who know better, is how erosion becomes collapse. If you care about public safety, this matters. If you care about civil liberties, this matters. If you care about the idea that no one is above the law, not protesters, not politicians, not presidents, this matters. And whether you're left, right, or somewhere in between, the question is simple. Do we want a justice system that serves the Constitution, or one that serves whoever happens to be in power? That's the line Grace Meng is drawing here, and it's a line worth paying attention to. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below with your thoughts, because these conversations don't end in committee rooms. They start there, and they continue with us.